All right, hello everyone. This is the City of Prescott's regular City Council meeting for Monday, February 24th, 2025. I will do a call to order. Mike?
Here.
John?
Here.
Lindsay?
Here.
Dar's here. Maureen is excused. The mayor is also absent as well as Adam is excused. Let's go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this time, we will take public comments. The City of Prescott City Council will be receiving public comments on any issue related to agenda items. Limited discussion by the City Council may take place. Okay, there's no public comments. The consent agenda, items 1 through 7. Item number 1 is the Police Commission minutes, January 30th, 2025. City Council minutes for February 10th, 2025. Parks and Public Works Committee meeting minutes, February 17th, 2025. Number 4 is the Prescott Library IFLS budget review and expenditures. Number 5 is the special event permit graduation party at the Prescott Beach on May 31st, 2025 from 1 to 6 p.m. Item 6 is the Parks and Public Works Department Work Plan 2025. And number 7, the approval of Noel Collins to repair the gear house at Mercard Mill Park.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, motion and approve. Any discussion on these motions? I have one question about the special event permit. When they're at the beach, do we have them sign any kind of waiver or anything like that for any kind of beach events?
You do not.
Okay, all right. All right, so consent agenda had a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Number 6, reports of standing committees and commissions. The Finance Committee, nothing was on that agenda. Planning Commission, the next meeting is Monday, March 3rd at 6 p.m. Parks and Public Works Committee report from Monday, February 17th. Do you want to do a
Yeah, I can take that.
little recap?
So we met last week, the Parks and Public Works Committee met last week, and we discussed the 2025 work action plan, which is included in the packet tonight. And then some maintenance items and requests from Freedom Park. There's a number of things that are being requested for upgrades and repairs, improvements. One of them being a new water fountain, which I believe we are looking at tonight in one of the agenda items. And then the gear house repairs by Noel Collins, working on his Eagle Scout project. I think we'll be talking about that tonight as well. Mm-hmm. And finally, the purchase of a bench at the Fairy Wonderland Park. And is that on the agenda as well?
That one is not, no.
Okay. And I think that was the highlights from our meeting last week.
Cool. The next meeting is set for Monday, March 17th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Health and Safety, that next meeting is Monday, March 10th at 2025 at 5 p.m. And Personnel, the next regular meeting is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Item number 7 is Communication and New Business. Number 1, public comments. The City Council will receive public comments on any issue not related to the agenda items. Limited discussion by the City Council may take place, however, no action will be taken on any items. This includes receiving written requests and documentation and possible action at future meetings. Any public comments? Okay, moving forward, we are at Resolution 12-25. Providing for the issuance, sale, delivery of $1,665,000 in our general obligation promissory notes, Series 2025A of the City of Prescott, establishing the terms and conditions, therefore directing the execution and delivery, creating a debt service amount transfer, creating a debt service account, therefore, and awarding the sale thereof.
Thank you, Dar. So tonight, basically, we're going to be finalizing the 2025 and 2025B, or 2025A and B borrowing. As we've discussed previously, this is for the Riverfront project. The reason why we have the separate borrowing is that 2025A is for the immediate work, and the 2025B is then essentially approving a small borrowing initially that we can then draw upon in the future if we're able to move forward with the transient dock downtown. So we've been working with Ellers, and Josh Lowe is here. You can come on up and give us some of the good news that we received today. The one thing I do want to touch upon, and Josh will probably speak on it a little bit, but we do have to amend Resolution 12-25 as per the agenda because our bids came in well, and we also are lowering the amount that we need to borrow. So we can discuss more of that after Josh.
So that's the best part
Yeah.
of the financial borrowed less than we initially anticipated. That was great. So part of that is because the project cost went down. Part of it is because we received a premium bid, so we can use some of that money to reduce the borrowing. But we can get into that. So that's perfect, Matt, for teeing us up. So we can start off with the A issue series. And these really dovetail together, but there are separate transactions. So the first thing that I wanted to mention, this is the one that funds the Riverfront Phase 2 projects. So this is done, this first one, the A series, is done through general obligation promissory notes securities, right? So we have one that's done securities where we're actually selling to underwriters who buy them and then sell them back to investors. Then the B series is through local banks. So that's why there are two separate transactions, kind of two different styles. So we'll start off with the A series. That's the one that's done with securities. Since this is a securities transaction, we had this rated from Moody's Investment Services. So this is a third-party organization, and they really do a top-to-bottom review of what these projects are, economics of the city, what's your governance like, what do your financials look like, and they put a rating on that. So this is a nice thing that investors can see and have a high-level overview of like how strong is the credit from the city of Prescott. So what they did, we had this call with them last week, I think about a week ago or so, received the rating on Friday. So they held their AA3 rating, which is where we were when we did a bond issuance for you guys 2 years ago. It's a very strong rating for the city of Prescott, for a city of your size. That's really the main thing there. Actually, so we've got this cover page here. I'm going to jump actually to the rating report. That's 2 pages on. And so we're going to switch to this part here. That cover sheet, we may or may not reference it back later, but if you want to take this packet with you and look at it when you go home, it will give you a good high-level overview. But I think the most interesting part of our process that we've had over the last couple of weeks, really we've spent a lot of time working with Matt and Beth to get all our documents together, to put that out to the market so they can really have something to see and react to it. Like I mentioned, how strong is this credit? What are we really getting ourselves into if we buy it, right? So the rating, I think, is a really interesting thing that you guys should read on your own, because this is what the outside community thinks of Prescott, right? We work closely with staff all the time, so I have a really good understanding of your financial picture. But for the outside community, this is how they view you, right? So the most important things here are that you're a AA3, which is totally reasonable and a very nice rating for a community of your size. So what they're seeing in your credit strengths is that you have a strong financial position. So they look at your fund balance and see that that's very high. That's certainly something to your credit. And moderate leverage, which is, finance speak for you don't have a lot of debt. So those are really nice upsides. Credit challenges is that you have slightly lower income for your residents than other AA2 peers. So that's what's keeping you at the AA3 level, one notch down, AA2. So they see these kind of things as working on contrast with each other, is saying, on average, you're not the wealthiest community compared to other people that we would give the same rating, but you do have these really strong fund balances, right? Mm-hmm. So that is really nice. You have proximity to the Twin Cities. These are all things that work in your favor. So that's why you have a nice AA3 rating. I don't think they saw quite as much improvement over the last couple of years since we gave you your last rating to get you up to AA2, because as you can probably imagine, it's harder for you as a city to get all of your residents to be wealthier, right? If that was something you could do and was within your power, you would of course do that, but that's not the easiest thing to do. So I think the way the best way to phrase it is for the things that are within your control, like your management, your governance, your fund balance policy, your financials, those are doing you a lot of favors. The things that are outside of your control are less so, but they're not really like negatives. This is not a poor community in their view, right? It's just that the strengths that you have aren't enough to overcome those limited challenges to bump you up to that next level, especially given the fact that the upsides, being resident wealth that they would look for to get an upgrade, since those are hard to accomplish, but it could be relatively easy to spend down a lot of your fund balance, right? That could happen in a year. You could say, hey, we're not going to do another borrowing next year. We're going to spend everything in cash. Then you go way down, and then you might lose your AA3 status, right? So the way that they look at these things is not strictly quantitative. And if you look to the last page of the credit report, you'll see this is probably on like page 7 of our packet. It's right before. Yeah. This is page that says rating methodology and scorecard factors. If you look all the way to the right-hand side of that, you'll see the different averages. And the most interesting pieces are the bottom. So they see that scorecard indicated outcome. So this is when they put all of everything up in there into their scorecard, right? This is very numbers-based, data-driven. And so if all of those things held true, you could be a AA2. But given the fact that you're a smaller community, and we have some of the other challenges that we just talked about, they're not quite comfortable giving you that AA2 status. So maybe a few years down the line, once incomes improve, you can get up there. So I think that what they're saying is like you're kind of right on the cusp for an upgrade, but AA3 is a fine rating for you to be at. So, I would consider that very strong given the profile of Prescott. Okay. So that led you to getting some very nice bids. And the next page we can go to is this bid tab page. I think it's 2 more pages in your packet. So the low bidder for this one is BOK Financial Securities. Almost all these other bidders on this issue are kind of our usual suspects. We work with lots of these folks all the time. The true interest rate on this one is 3.02%. That was what they offered when we put this out to bid earlier at $1.6 million. Just for a frame of reference, when we did, my colleagues, Sean Lentz was here a couple weeks ago and presented our pre-sale report, our estimate for this financing was 3.83, somewhere in that range. So even at that point, we pegged 50 basis points, 0.5%, over the market, because we always like to do a cushion. We don't want to put it right on there exactly on the market, because then if it comes in higher, we feel like we haven't given you enough space, right? And that never feels good. So conservatively, we always put a little bit of a margin on there. But this bid today came in even lower than the market was a couple of weeks ago. So things have moved in our favor in that amount of time. So that's great. This is probably the lowest rate for a deal that I've seen in a while, but that's because it's only 5 years, not 20. As you can guess, the longer time you're going to lend someone money, the probably higher interest rate you're going to want in return in that meantime. So the fact that we are held to a limited amount of time for this, because it's all being paid back by tax increment district number 4, is really helpful for this financing and getting a very low interest rate here. The next couple of bids, you can see the bidding on this issue was very tight. We got 7 responses, which is great. Usually sometimes we'll get 3. So clearly a lot of people were very interested in getting Prescott's debt for this issue. If the low was 3.02, and you can see how they kind of scale up slightly from here and there, everyone's kind of reacting to the same information, and you can tell that the market is pretty tight for this. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's really helpful, that you got a really low rate, and there was clearly a lot of competition for your debt. Any questions there on like the rating and how the bids work and all that? Great. So the next interesting thing is going to be the next page. This is the debt service schedule, and this is what you're actually approving tonight. So you're committing to make these payments to investors in these interest rates for the next 5 years while the tax increment district is around before we close it. We ran all the numbers and put this into your tax increment district for cash flow, and as we noticed, since everything has improved since the last time we talked, the plan still holds intact to have enough cash to pay all this with the tax increment district, so you should never have to levy or bring in any other sources of funds to make these payments. So this is not really going to be held by increasing the taxes, anything like that. I think that's probably wraps it up for that, unless there are any other questions. I think those are really the main highlights from this. Really, the rating's the most important thing. That'll be a great background for you to go through that and just see how they describe the community and kind of the things that they look at. I really think that that's probably insightful to give you some knowledge of how other people think you're running your community. And then the debt service schedule, that pretty much speaks for itself.
So the adjusted issuance is 1,635,588.20, is that correct?
Is that
Or
with,
is it 1.550?
it's 1550.
Okay.
Got it.
That's the one Matt was talking about before, okay.
So just so we have it on record, so the updated resolution, which would just be a change in the number, would be Resolution 12-25, providing for the issuance, sale, and delivery of 1,550,000 general obligation promissory notes, Series 2025A of the City of Prescott, Wisconsin, establishing the terms and conditions therefore, directing their execution and delivery, creating a debt service account therefore, and awarding the sale thereof.
Are we doing these together, or does it be a separate motion?
I think we need a separate motion for each one.
Okay. All right. I will make the motion to approve Resolution 12-25, providing for the issuance, sale, and delivery of 1,550,000 general obligation promissory notes, Series 2025A of the City of Prescott, Wisconsin, establishing the terms and conditions therefore, directing their execution and delivery, creating a debt service account therefore, and awarding the sale thereof.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Lindsay, did you also? Okay, and we'll do a roll call. Lindsay?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Dar? Aye.
Aye.
Mike? All right, that motion carried.
Okay, that's that one.
All right, we're going to move on to Resolution 13-25, providing for the issue and sale delivery of a 987,000 general obligation promissory note series 2025B of the City of Prescott, Wisconsin, establishing the terms and conditions therefore, directing its execution and delivery, creating a debt service account therefore, and awarding the sale thereof.
I'll turn it over to Josh.
All right, so this is the bank transaction, okay? So rather than going out to the securities market, basically the way the previous one works, just the mechanics of it, we have a preliminary official statement, we list it on a website, basically, and underwriters just submit their bids to that all electronically. At 10 o'clock, we get results at 10:01. Bank transactions are a little bit different. We come up with a terms and conditions and then email it to contacts at banks throughout the local area. And about a week or so, they respond to us and send us an email with a proposal form that says what their thing is. So just the mechanics are slightly different. But for this one, we got 5 different responses, so that's great. The recommended proposal is from First State Bank and Trust in Hudson. They gave us a rate of 4.75. The best thing to look at now is this proposal summary. We'll jump to that real quick. This is on the second, or I guess third page in it. And this is a unique one that I haven't really had to think through quite this way, because the first, our recommended one at 4.75, and our second one from the Bank of Alma are almost right next to each other. All right, it's 4.75, that's our recommended, versus the Bank of Alma at 4.73%, but with an additional fee of $250. So this is for the transient doc. So when we analyzed this, we had to think through, this is the one that there's some proposed litigation, and if there's any questions, Matt can answer that for you. But since they're so close, we really felt that the best option for you was the one that kept off fees. Since it's speculative if this transaction goes forward or not. If it doesn't go forward at all, you'll want the option that costs you the least. Forget about the interest costs. The way that we were thinking about it is if you had to draw all the money now because you knew you were going to do it, then you would want the lower interest rate even if you paid the higher fee and if you paid off 5 years. If it winds up taking a long time before you do that, then you don't really get the benefit of a lower interest rate because of the amount of time you're actually borrowing is actually going to be shorter. So given all of that, it seems like the best way to go would be the one that keeps your total cost as low as possible with no fees attached. So that's why we're recommending the one with a 4.75 interest rate from First State Bank and Trust. So a couple weeks ago, we submitted all those RFPs. We got them back on Friday and spent the last couple days thinking through, like, what is our approach going to be for that? I think it's worth noting that since these are so close, even if there's some uncertainty if you draw the full amount, pay for the project or not, it seems to be pretty unlikely that a few years down the road you wind up kicking yourself that you made the wrong choice, because the difference between one or the other over 5 years is almost negligible.
Do we have a fee? Because, I mean, we're not gonna be using it right away just for having it sit there, or it can just sit there, no interest accrued?
There is interest. So
There is
when you
interest
borrow
from that
from the bank, you don't have to borrow the full $987,000. What you're actually going to wind up drawing off of this is $49,350 or something like that. It's 5%
Yeah.
of the total, which is the minimum legal required amount to have a legally executed transaction. So that's what will be there. There will be, whatever it is, 4.75% of that. Well, we can tell you. If we go to the debt service schedule, on the second to the last page, actually, that doesn't tell you that. That assumes a full draw if you draw it now. If you drew the whole 987 now, that's what it would be. So you're only going to pay 4.75% on whatever you wind up drawing.
So is it 5% each year you would have to draw?
Nope, you can just hold just that amount,
Just that one
just the
time.
minimum of the one draw. Then that's what has it a legally executed transaction. And then you pay interest on whatever it is that is drawn every year. So the first year, you're only paying interest. Second year, only interest. Then if you draw the whole thing, that's when you start paying off the full principal.
Any questions? All right, I will make the motion to approve resolution 13-25, providing the issuance, sale, and delivery of a $987,000 general obligation promissory note, series 2025B of the city of Prescott, Wisconsin, establishing the terms and conditions therefore, directing its execution and delivery, creating a debt service account therefore, and awarding the sale thereof.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussions on this motion? All in favor? Aye. We need a roll call. Lindsay?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Tar? Aye. Mike?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
Any other questions for me while I'm here?
No,
Thank
we
you.
just appreciate your hard work. Thank you.
Yeah.
No. My
Nice
pleasure.
job.
It's great results today.
Yeah, it was really good. Very good. All right, moving on to item number 5, resolution 15-25, authorizing the installation of streetlights as part of the Phase 2 Riverfront project at a cost of $104,482.
I think we skipped over
Yeah, I
number
skipped over
Oh, we
4.
skipped over one.
I didn't.
Did I pull a mayor? Oh. So
It
sorry.
has to be every time.
My apologies. Resolution 14-25, approving the transfer of unused parks upkeep funds, this is very important, of $9,881 from the general fund to Parks Improvement Fund. Now, Matt.
Thank you very much. So in 2022, we began a park escrow line, budget line item for basically maintaining and making improvements at the parks throughout the year. And then in February of 2023, council approved the creation of a Parks Improvement Fund with the idea that at the time of creation, any money that's left over in the parks escrow line item at the end of the year would then be transferred to that Parks Improvement Fund as one of the funding mechanisms for that fund, along with room tax that we receive. So for 2024, we budgeted $50,000 into the Parks Upkeep Fund, and we have spent $40,118.98. Within your packet, you can see the total expenditures and where they went throughout 2024. So that would leave $9,881 that we would then be transferring from the general fund to the Parks Improvement Fund. So with that, I'll turn it over to your comments and questions on it.
Well, I know we're on a number 6 item, has a water fountain and so forth, would that come out of that fund then?
Number 6 we're proposing would come out of TID number 4.
Will come out to the.
There's a number of improvements at Freedom Park that,
We're still within a half-mile bit.
yes.
Okay.
Anybody want to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion for resolution 1425 approving the transfer of unused park upkeep fund of $9,881 from the general fund to the parks improvement fund.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. You don't need a roll call for this one, though.
We do,
You
yes.
do, okay. I'll take a roll call. Lindsay?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Dar, aye.
Aye.
Mike, aye. Motion carried. All right, on to the next item, Resolution 15-25, authorizing the installation of streetlights as part of Phase 2 Riverfront project at a cost of $104,482.
Thank you. So we just did approve this borrowing, but a portion of that would come to pay for the streetlights. We did work with the same company that we worked with last time, which is Pulse Lighting, to come up with the plan to replace the remaining streetlights that are part of the Riverfront Phase 2. So they match the style and color and what we've done down at the Main Street on Broad Street for a total cost of $104,000. $78,882 would go for the purchase of the materials like the lights, and then the installation would once again be done by NEI Electric for $25,600. There is a rough layout of where the lights would go along with each one of their designs. The only one that would have banner posts would be the ones in Merckard Mill Park. Everywhere else would be without banner posts, with the exception, actually, Jake's Park has one as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to Council for comments or questions.
Good job, by the way. I like how it's mapped out for us, too, to get a concept of where they will be, so. Any motions? Any discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 15-25, authorizing the installation of streetlights as part of the Phase 2 Riverfront project at a cost of $104,482.
Second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll need a roll call on this one. Lindsay?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Dar says aye.
And I say
Mike
aye.
says aye. We have to write our own song after this for.
You got a name. Had to know.
Exactly. All right, Resolution 16-25 is approving the purchase of the water fountain with an upper bottle filling station and pet station. And this was coming out of TID.
TID 4.
4.
Matt?
So there's a number of items that we met with Freedom Park as part of our memorandum of understanding that we signed with them back in 2007. We essentially continue to remain responsible for the managed operation, improvement and maintain and improve the visitor center and park by and through the ultimate authority of the council. One of the issues that is the water fountain is starting to age and needs to be replaced. So as part of that, we looked at what improvement could be made. One of the items that we did downtown by the clock tower is replace it with this water fountain that's being proposed. It has an upper body water bottle filler and a regular fountain, and then on the bottom part has a drinking pet station. So the total cost of that would be $6,659.99, which includes shipping. We did have a budget of $25,000 for projects at Freedom Park. Since it, as we discussed, is within the half mile, it does qualify. The other projects that we did look at ultimately did not move forward. At one point, we were discussing trying to extend a fence and do a decorative like stone like we did down at the Phase 1, but ultimately that did not move forward. So this is the only item that would qualify for TID 4, and with the expenditure period ending on March 3rd, this would be the one replacement improvement we'd make there with these funds. So with that, I'll turn it over to Council for comments and questions.
I'm definitely in favor of this new water fountain, but is there any other projects at Freedom Park that TID 4 could be used for?
No, since the repairs and maintenance don't qualify for TID 4, so like the amphitheater, the Swiffer House, trees, parking lot lights are all, and tuck point pillars, handicap button, and wood chips are all just general maintenance items. They don't qualify. And then interior improvements, well, even the Freedom Park conference room, the painting and the replacement of the floor is just a general maintenance. But interior improvements was not included in the TID 4 project plan. So they
Nothing else we can think of, the city or the Freedom Park can think of to spend those other?
Well, initially, like we said, we talked, I don't know, like at Freedom Park, they have those decorative pillars with the fence. We were gonna extend that, and that's originally why the money was set aside, but then the stewards of Freedom Park and the Friends of Freedom Park decided they liked to keep that bluff line open, so they didn't want to move forward with that fence. So.
I suppose trees and stuff like that don't go underneath that either.
How about building
No,
a
'cause
birdhouse or something?
We lost
Benches or
What were those
something.
birds called? Some wild name.
Tweety birds.
Or something.
I'll make a
Swiffers.
motion for resolution 1625, approving the purchase of a water fountain with an upper bottle fill station and a pet station underneath for, I don't remember the amount, 6,000 whatever.
$5.99,
$5.99, okay.
coming out of TID 4.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and you need a roll call for this one?
Yes.
All right, Lindsay,
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Dar says aye, and
And I
Mike
say
says aye. Right, motion carried. All right, the last one, item 7, is resolution 17-25, authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement between Assured Distribution of Funds.
So, we had talked about this at a council workshop, I believe it was 2 meetings ago, but a facade improvement program is basically a way to look at economic and community revitalization, and as TID 4 was originally started back in, I believe, 2003 or 2004 as a blighted and redevelopment district, one of the options that was put in the TID 4 plan was the outside restoration and improvement of storefronts. So we had discussed taking some of the TID 4 funds before the project closed and looking to start a exterior facade improvement program. Again, the TID 4 expenditure period ends on March 3rd, 2025. What's before you tonight then is, in order to utilize these funds, we essentially have to distribute them to a fiscal agent. In this case, it's through the form of an escrow agreement with First National Bank. We've worked through the details and the final agreement is before you. We would be taking $300,000, putting it into this escrow fund, and then we'd be working to start this finalized facade improvement program, which will come before you at a later date, although some of the projects or the program details are in the packet as an outline, just to give you a sense of what we'd be looking for. Then from 2025 to 2030, we would be awarding projects as part of that at $50,000 per year for a total of $30,000 or $300,000. Even with this, we still have an estimate of about $252,315 left at the end of the TID closures, just to make sure we cover potential market value corrections and levy reductions, preventing any fund shortfalls. As part of the agreement then, we'd be working with First National Bank, and they'd be charging us a fee of $250 per disbursement request. So with that, I'll turn it over to the council for comments and questions.
I like this.
So with this money that we put in there, we're not gonna get any interest for having the money in the bank?
We will still be accruing
Oh, we
interest.
still get interest?
I don't know what the interest rate will be at. That's one thing we haven't discussed with the bank specifically, and it's all gonna be dependent on market conditions as well.
Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the escrow agreement to assure distribution of expended funds with First National Bank of River Falls.
And I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. We need a roll call. Lindsay?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Dar? Aye.
Mike, aye.
Aye. All, motion carried. All right. Other business, council workshop, affordable housing fund, discussion of potential dates.
So the Prescott Housing Authority approved us on a project they would like to work with us specifically on our affordable housing funds that we have set up. So wanted to ask the council if March 26th would be a viable date for everyone. And we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting to ask those who are in attendance. But
What day of the week is
It's
that?
a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
Okay, that'd be fine, I know Wednesdays are good.
Works for me.
Does not work for me.
It doesn't work for you?
Nope.
So should we, you want to look at other dates, or should we just kind of see where we're at with everyone else?
Would the 25th work for everybody? Or that would be a Tuesday.
I'm at a conference all that week.
That whole week you are?
The whole week is out?
The 25th to the 28th, I'm at a conference.
But the 19th?
The 19th would work for me. Other people work. So the 19th versus the 26th.
It would work for me too.
It's better for me too.
Okay.
Okay, 19.
Okay.
All right, so tentatively, we're looking at the 19th of March.
What was the time?
Either
5
or 6. I will ask the housing authority if they have a preference.
And then you're looking to have an organizational meeting on Tuesday, April 15th.
Yes, so our next organizational meeting after the April 1st election will be had on Tuesday, April 15th at 5:30 p.m. We'll be kicking off John.
Gonna give you crap for that. Okay. All right, so we've got that organizational meeting set for April 15th at 5:30 p.m. We don't have any closed session items, so we'll take a motion to adjourn from anybody.
Motion to adjourn.
Second it.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.